Dog training should be straightforward, right? But as we tell our dogs what we want them to do, the reality barks back. How to explain what exactly you want? Why is it that you have to say a command over and over? And what if they ignore a request altogether? Whether you're a seasoned dog whisperer or just starting with a new furball, stay tuned as we unpack 6 game-changing tips that will take your training sessions to the next level. The thing is, getting the timing just right is the most important key in dog training. When your dog does something, you've got a tiny window of just 1 minute to show them whether that's a thumbs up or a thumbs down kind of behavior. Let's say you ask your dog to sit, and as soon as they plant their bum on the ground, the clock starts ticking. You've got only about 60 seconds to deliver some kind of positive reinforcement. Why such a rush? Dogs think in terms of association, which means they're pretty good at linking cause and effect. But there's a catch. Their memory for linking their action with your reaction is that short. So if you wait too long, say 2 minutes after they sit, to give them a treat, they simply won't connect sitting with the reward. In fact, they'll probably think you're rewarding them for something else altogether, like sniffing around or just looking cute. But what if you're working on training commands from a distance? Imagine telling your dog to stay and then walking away. You might not make it back within that golden 60-second window. This is where a conditioned reinforcer or a marker comes into play. It could be a simple yes or a click from a clicker. This sound is your dog's heads up that a reward is on its way. If you use this marker within the first 60 seconds, you buy yourself some extra time to deliver the actual reward, like a treat, a toy, or a good old pat on the head. So, about the timing with a marker, do you also have the same 60 seconds between a marker and the actual reward? The answer is, you've got as long as your dog is still tuned into you. The key is to ensure the reward comes before they get distracted by something else. This way, your dog will connect the dots between the behavior, the marker, and the reward, even if the reward comes a bit later than the usual 60 seconds. As your dog gets the hang of this system, you'll find it easier to teach new commands, and over time, you might even phase out treats. Now that we covered that, let's move on to 4 basic steps of teaching your dog any command. When you watch someone giving commands to their dog, it usually goes like this. They give the command or a physical cue, and when the dog nails it, boom, there's a reward waiting, or as we talked about, a marker followed by a reward. That flow works wonders when the dog's already clued in on what the command means. But when it's teaching time for something brand new, some dog parents fall into the trap of saying the word first and then trying to mime out what they're after, leaving their dog scratching their head in confusion. So here's how to go about introducing a new trick or command. Flip the script and start from the finish line. First, snag a treat that gets your dog's tail wagging. Step number 2 is to forge a link between the reward and a marker. A cheery yes, followed by a treat. Once you've practiced that, next up, guide your dog through the desired action with a physical cue. Don't use words just yet. Show them what you're after. Point to an object for a fetch or circle your wrist for a spin. Once they perform the action, only then go name the trick with a verbal command. Choose a short word and speak it out clearly, or use a unique sound, like tapping on your leg 3 times in a row for the come command. Repeat this a few times to make the association between the behavior and word or sound sink in. Once you practice this sequence, reward, cue, command, you're ready to go the other way around. Start with command, followed by a cue and a reward. For example, say sit. Lightly press down at the base of their tail, and once they put their bum down all the way, dish out a treat. Keep at it, reinforcing this sequence until your dog starts responding to just the verbal cue, no hand signals needed. So that's how the magic happens. It doesn't matter if you're training your dog competition obedience, a simple command, or anything in between. The process is always the same. How long should a training session last? Puppies are like tiny sponges. They're ready to soak up the knowledge, but only in short bursts. Even adult dogs can start yawning if the lesson drags on. So aim for no more than 10 to 15 minutes at a time, keeping the vibe upbeat and playing fair with your furry student. Another tip is, kick things off with the basics and stick to one command at a time. The sit command is usually a good starting block and a foundation of a well-mannered pup. From there, you can guide your dog to lie down, work on the ever-so-important stay, and make sure come is on their command radar ASAP. Once your dog has these down, you can jazz things up with some fun tricks or tackle more advanced commands like rolling over or those adorable high fives. This is where shaping comes into play, a technique that breaks down those wow tricks into doable steps. Let's say you're teaching your furry pal to ring a bell. Kick things off by giving them a treat just for throwing a glance at the bell. Next, up the ante by rewarding them when they touch it, even if it's just a curious sniff or a gentle poke. The grand prize comes when they give that bell a good ring. And here's something else to chew on. Dogs go through something called latent learning. Dogs often process what they've learned only after the training session is over. That's why those bite-sized sessions are key. They give your dog just enough of a new thing to digest after the training session wraps up. And don't be surprised if your dog needs a snooze after mastering a new trick. Training their brains can tire them out just as much as a game of fetch. Training is not always a smooth journey. You might bump into the extinction burst. Sounds dramatic, right? It's when your dog doubles down on a naughty habit as soon as you stop rewarding them for not doing it. It's like they're saying, "Hey, remember when this used to get me treats?" Keeping your cool and sticking to your guns during these moments teaches your dog that persistence pays off in good behavior, not the naughty stuff. Then there's the usual lineup of mischief: jumping, barking, the occasional grumble or growl. The trick here is to be the master of redirection. Pivot their focus onto something positive. A quick run-through of commands they know well, followed by rewards, can work wonders. And then, sometimes, out of the blue, your dog might take a few steps back in their training, almost like they've forgotten everything overnight. This is often caused by changes in their routine or surroundings. Getting frustrated or worse, angry, will only muddy the waters, so in cases like these, it's all about knowing when to call it a day. If your dog starts zoning out or showing signs of fatigue, simply wrap the session up soon, but make a point to end it on a high note no matter how small. What's the hardest part in dog training? Ask any seasoned trainer and they'll tell you, the training part is straightforward. It might feel daunting at first, but in essence, it's us repeating the same steps until our dogs get it. Honestly, dog training can even get a tad monotonous, so the real test is our own self-discipline and patience. Tweaking our own habits and always keeping our reactions consistent. Besides, training is to your dog what language is to us humans. If we don't practice it, we start to forget. Regularly running through even the simplest commands ensures these skills stay sharp in your dog's memory. Plus, it's a fantastic way to hang out with your furry friend and strengthen that special bond you share. In January 2021, the Canisius College in Buffalo, New York, conducted a study that changed the way we look at sleeping with dogs. Check out this video to find out what they discovered.